Welcome back to Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet. I'm Josh.
And I'm Kristie. We've got some more Reddit stories for you today, so let's jump right into the first one.
Am I the asshole for wanting to keep my engagement ring from my late fiance?
It's your engagement ring. Who should you be giving it to?
I, 36 female, lost my fiance nearly 11 years ago in a car crash. We were both in the car, but I got out with only minor injuries while he died instantly. This messed me up quite a bit, and I was in and out of therapy and support groups for years over this. The support group is where I met my current partner, 45 male. He is a widower who lost his wife to cancer, and we understood each other's pain a lot and bonded over it. 3 years ago, we started dating, and we moved in with each other last month. I've remained close with the family of my late fiancé since I lost him, and they were a great support to me in the first few years. However, his mother, 61 female, asked me last week for the ring he gave me back, since I'm now seriously involved with another man. She said she wanted the ring to keep in the family, and it'd mean a lot to have it.
Wait, is this like a family heirloom ring? Because I could see wanting that back to keep it in the family. But if this is just a ring that your fiancé bought for you, why does it need to go back to the family? It's yours.
This upset me. The ring he gave me wasn't a family ring. It's a garnet and emerald ring he picked out because those are our birthstones, and I didn't want a traditional diamond.
Okay, yeah, it's not a family heirloom. There's no reason you need to give this to his family. Just because years later you are now in a new relationship and have moved on, it doesn't mean that you love your late fiancé any less and don't want to keep the engagement ring from him as like a memento of your life together.
Yeah, and like you said, this is not a family heirloom at all. So it seems weird that mother would want it. I mean, I can see wanting a memory of your son, but I feel like this is something he gave to his fiance, not something that has been in the family for a while.
Yeah, this is a weird thing to want to keep from your son as a memory of your son, his engagement ring to his fiance at the time. Why? I just don't understand why the mom wants this. This should stay with the fiance. It's her memory.
We picked the ring out together, and he saved for months to get it for me. It holds a lot of beautiful memories for me, even if it's bittersweet. I'm now at a point where I can enjoy the good memories without too much pain. Me being in a relationship now doesn't mean I have this ring gathering dust in a drawer somewhere. I wear it on my right hand now, the same way my partner wears his wedding ring. We both feel it's okay to honor our lost loves this way, and neither of us have any jealousy or negative feelings over this. Hell, we have a picture of my fiancé and his wife on the wall of our living room. I told her I could understand if it had been a family ring he'd inherited, though that would still have made me feel a little weird to have her asking for it back, but it isn't a family ring. It's my ring that we picked out together, and I plan to wear it for the rest of my life. She insisted it should be back in the family, however, and that she wanted it as it was the last major purchase he made before he died. I ended up hanging up on her, as I was so upset, and I've been avoiding her calls since.
I just don't feel like mother-in-law, well, almost mother-in-law, has any claim to this ring. Her request seems unreasonable to me, and I get that she's like probably still grieving, and like she's probably a little upset that you have finally moved on and wants the ring back, but it's not her place to take it back.
It does seem like an odd request. I can understand wanting a memento of a loved one, but it feels like this is not the memento that she has any claim on. This is like your memento. This is your primary memento. My partner is angry on my behalf that she even asked this and told me she was being ridiculous and that I should wear the ring as long as I want to. I can't help but feel I'm being punished for finding someone to make me happy. That I was supposed to mourn him forever in her eyes. I've spoken to my parents about this too to get their insight on it. My mom feels that maybe I should give the ring back as his mother is clearly hurting and wants to hold on to something of her son. My dad, meanwhile, says he can see both sides of this and it's my choice. I don't know, I might be a bit too emotional over this. Am I being the asshole or unreasonable here?
Not the asshole. I feel like your almost mother-in-law does not have a claim to this ring. It's unreasonable of her to ask you for this. This is like your memento of your past fiance. And you still wear it every day as a memorial to him. I just don't understand why she thinks she deserves this back. And not even back. Like, this ring was never hers. She's not giving it back to the mother-in-law. It wasn't hers to begin with.
It was always your ring, right?
Yes.
I feel like mother-in-law should have other memorial items of him, even if it's just like photos and things. I find it hard to believe that there's nothing more appropriate for her to keep.
Yes, appropriate. That's what I've been trying to say. This isn't an appropriate memorial for the mother to keep. This is appropriate for the fiance to keep because it was intended for the fiance.
I have to agree with OP's sentiment towards the end there. It does kind of feel like she's a little upset that OP is trying to move on.
And is trying to punish her for it. Yes, I do see that. I'm upset that OP's parents aren't on her side, but I'm very glad that her now fiance is on her side and like, no, keep this ring from your first fiance. It's yours. You know, you should keep it.
Yeah, that is good. It sounds like OP has found a like very understanding partner.
Well, he also lost his partner, so they're both going through it together. Like, yeah, they found a good relationship where they both understand the loss the other has gone through, but are now moving on and happy together.
Yeah, I'm happy for the two of them to have found that. There is a quick edit. A couple people seem confused. My current partner is not my new fiance or my husband. I call him my partner because he feels at his age being called boyfriend is a bit too humorous, as if he's young. If we are being technical, however, he is a boyfriend. We have only just moved in together. I am sorry if my wording caused any confusion.
Okay, yeah. I assumed fiance, but they're living together, not engaged yet, but moving that direction probably because they moved in together. So, okay.
I assumed partner meant boyfriend in this instance, honestly. But I don't know. I guess I didn't think that hard about it. So, Reddit says not the asshole. Top comment. You keep saying give the ring back. Stop using that language. There is no one to give it back to. It belongs to you and only you. That she would even ask is strange, but that is not your problem. The ring is yours. The answer is no. If she chooses to hold this against you, just let her. I would tell her there is no way on earth I would ever part with the ring the love of your life purchased just for you. Sometimes you have to let people feel the way they feel, and sometimes their feelings ruin a relationship. You are not the asshole.
I think that was very nicely worded. And yeah, if mother-in-law is going to hold a grudge over this, well, then that's her loss that she has, soured this relationship with you.
Yeah, I agree. It's unfortunate that she put you in this position, but I think that you are completely justified in holding your ground and saying, no, this is my ring. I won't be giving it up. Not the asshole at all whatsoever. Keep the ring and remember the good times and the love it was chosen with. OP replied to that, thank you. At first, after I lost him, I did struggle with wearing it, as it was so painful, but now I don't. I just really didn't know if I was being unreasonable, as I'm getting such mixed responses from people in my life. And it is a bit odd, I know you said it earlier, how many people in her life are giving her such mixed responses.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a very clear, cut and dry, no, you have no obligation to give this ring to your almost mother-in-law.
Yeah, it's not like their relationship ended on a bad note or anything. Like, there's no reason why she shouldn't keep this ring forever, in my opinion.
And I kind of don't blame mother-in-law for asking, but if the answer is no, mother-in-law just needs to accept that and not bring it up again.
Yes, I would say she's not the asshole for asking, but once she started insisting, she became the asshole.
Am I the asshole for leaving my friend's wedding dress shopping trip early after finding out at the dinner table I wasn't a bridesmaid?
Ooh, you didn't know before that point whether or not you were a bridesmaid? I don't know. With that much information, you might be the asshole for just ditching the trip and, I guess, assuming you were a bridesmaid? Or maybe the bride's an asshole for leading you on. Let's hear the story.
So I, 32 female, have known this friend, 32 female, since middle school. Let's call her Fran. We've drifted a bit over the years, life, distance, careers in different industries, my own healing journey, but I've always considered her a chosen sister. Anytime we hung out, even if just once a year, always felt like old times. And even though we didn't talk all too much, I always valued her friendship. Fran got engaged earlier this year. When I saw her in August, she asked me if I would be willing to fly out, about a 3-hour flight, to go wedding dress shopping with her and her best friend from elementary school. During that convo, she told me I was the perfect person to go wedding dress shopping with, talked to me about what color her bridesmaid dresses should be, sage, not mint or emerald, and asked what we should do for her bachelorette. After coffee, she would even send me photos of outfits for the rehearsal dinner.
It sure sounds like you're a bridesmaid. It almost sounds like you're a maid of honor with this many questions. Also, that best friend from elementary school makes me suspicious. Is Fran OP's best friend, but OP is not Fran's best friend?
I feel like that might kind of be the situation, right? Because we know she's not a bridesmaid, so that makes me think that might be what's going on. But she is getting OP really involved in this wedding process for her not being a bridesmaid.
Yeah, if you're not a bridesmaid, it's crazy to expect you to fly 3 hours for wedding dress shopping. Like, just video call her in if she's not a bridesmaid.
So I assumed I would be in the bridal party. Not that I think this is owed or expected, but because of how she was talking to me about her wedding. I spent $500 on flights to go wedding dress shopping, in the middle of the government shutdown, mind you. There were 2 appointments for Saturday and 1 for Sunday. I came in Friday night while the other girl was coming in Saturday morning. Fast forward to after the Saturday appointments, there's 7 of us, significant others, siblings. Her brother at the pizza joint communal table casually asks, "So, what's your job in the wedding? I assume you're a bridesmaid?" And Fran goes, "Oh, she's actually not." In front of everyone. No private convo, no heads up, a public no.
I mean, it depends a lot on her tone. A public no could be devastating, or it could just be her giving her brother information.
Sounds like she was also giving OP information too, though.
Yes, but so far OP has only been working on assumptions. So maybe Fran assumed OP knew that if she was never asked to be a bridesmaid, she wasn't a bridesmaid.
I mean, yeah, assumptions, but I feel like her logic was pretty sound. These are all bridesmaid activities.
That is also true. There are a lot of bridesmaid activities that you're being involved in. I just need to know, like, how many bridesmaids are there? Is it just family members? You're still one of her close friends, it sounds like. Maybe she just wants you there, even though she can't fit you into the wedding party.
It was so awkward, I still cringe thinking about it. Later that night, she said, "I just want to acknowledge how awkward my brother made dinner." Newsflash, he didn't make it awkward. I basically told her I wasn't mad that I wasn't a bridesmaid. If I didn't make the cut, it's fine. But it was the approach in which how I was told. I could have been told Friday night prior to the other girl coming in. I could have been told Saturday morning when we spent the whole morning together. But I wasn't. I wasn't told prior to booking a $500 flight to spend $100 on Ubers to get to her and celebrate her that weekend. This conversation evolved into her telling me she just can't come to me for the big things anymore, and she's felt extremely distant to me for years. Years! So I'm sitting there like, then why am I here?
I mean, it does kind of sound like OP and her just aren't communicating well.
I was really hurt and spent the night and morning crying, so I booked an earlier flight home on Sunday and skipped the final dress appointment. I didn't want to show up puffy-eyed and have it be awkward. As I left, obviously putting everything away, I texted her and her fiancé, woke up with a sore throat, decided to take an earlier flight home. Thanks for opening your home to me. And she responds hours later saying, "Hope you feel better. Thanks for coming up this weekend." Since then, radio silence. She didn't even text me a happy birthday or a happy Thanksgiving.
I think you really hurt her feelings by leaving early. And probably that conversation the night before. I don't know. I am trying to see this from both sides. Does it seem like maybe her inviting OP to the wedding dress shopping was like her reaching out and trying to like reinforce the friendship that she feels has been fading?
If that's the case, I feel like wedding dress shopping, when you know you don't want this person to be a bridesmaid, is not the time to do that.
Yeah, I can see that. Wedding dress shopping is usually just bridesmaids and like mothers, right?
Yeah, usually moms, sisters, and bridesmaids. For the record, I genuinely am not mad about not being a bridesmaid. I'm hurt because she let me fly out and emotionally show up for her and then humiliated me in a public setting and also insisted we go out to a bar after dinner. So, am I the asshole for leaving early and not reaching out first?
I don't think you're the asshole for leaving early. You might be the asshole for not talking it out better.
I feel like everybody sucks here. I feel like the bride definitely should have let you know that you were not a bridesmaid before inviting you dress shopping and you bought a $500 plane ticket and took a weekend out of your time to go see her and help with dress shopping.
That's a good point. I do kind of like an everybody sucks here because OP made a lot of assumptions. But bride also did invite you on all these things that made it seem like you were going to be asked to be a bridesmaid. Yeah, you both kind of suck at communicating.
Yeah, if I was in this situation and someone invited me to fly out and go dress shopping with them, I might think that they're planning to ask me to be a bridesmaid in person while we're dress shopping.
Yes, I could have seen that being a build up to asking. So I have to say, Fran, Seems like she doesn't understand the social norms of a wedding. But also, I can't really get behind OP kind of scampering once her feelings got hurt instead of talking it out with somebody that she considers a sister. Like, sisters fight. That's okay. You should have talked it out with her. And on top of that, did OP wish her a happy Thanksgiving?
No, but if someone didn't wish me a happy birthday and my birthday was a little bit before Thanksgiving, I'm not sure I'd reach out and wish them a happy Thanksgiving. Oh, we're snubbing each other? Okay.
I guess. I don't know. With my best friend, who I very rarely talk to anymore because he's got a kid and just lives across the country now, I still would send him a happy birthday even if he forgot to send me a happy birthday. Life happens sometimes. So it's not that odd to have to extend the hand yourself, I think. So yeah, I kind of feel like both parties here are to blame that the friendship is fading.
Top comment. I can't come to you for big things while simultaneously having you fly out and engage in a big thing.
That is also a good point. I almost feel like Fran might have been testing out the waters on making you a bridesmaid and then made a decision while you were out there.
OP does have some edits to answer the most common questions and comments. I believe I was asked to go because I'm very bubbly, always hype the person I'm celebrating up, and am type A when it comes to events. Something her maid of honor isn't. She's very chill. I'm very much a pay attention to the small details to make an event feel special, make a custom PPT in Canva for a bachelorette itineraries type of gal. The bridal party is small, 3 people, it's been finalized, and this trip wasn't a trial.
Okay.
So you were wrong.
I'm glad other people also thought that, though, because I just got the feeling that, like, she invited you to this bridesmaid thing. Was this like a final cut type thing? Where she was like, let's see if I can revive this friendship. What I want to know now is, who are the bridesmaids? Because if it's all family, then you're out of line for expecting to get in there. I just feel like there's a lot of variables that could change the outcome of the judgment.
And then OP says that she just wishes Fran had said, hey, I wanted to let you know we're keeping the bridal party small and I'm having XYZ in my party, but I still want you to be part of the process, so I would love for you to come with me to the wedding dress fitting. That's all I wanted. It's really spiraled, and my friend at one point deadpanned looked at me and said, look, you didn't make the cut. That's it. What more do you want? That's a little harsh.
That is harsh. I feel like people are going to be mad at me in the comments for continuing to defend Fran. Does that sound like something you say to somebody who's just being really annoying about a topic?
And they just won't shut up about it?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
It sounds a lot like a snap that happens after somebody won't let something go. But also, once again, she flew you out for a bridal fitting. I don't know. I'm sticking with my everybody sucks here thing.
Another comment, NTA, I'm guessing the brother knew something very fishy was up and was trying to warn you.
Oh my god, I didn't even consider that brother might actually know the answer to that, and he was using it as ammo. That's kind of cruel if that's the case.
I strongly suspect that OP actually is a good and supportive friend, but that she doesn't have the look or aesthetic the bride is going for.
Ooh, could it have been that petty of a reason? Because I'm never behind those brides who want to exclude friends for the sake of having photogenic pictures.
Yeah, it seems like Reddit is pretty firmly NTA. You were being used. You should have been told earlier, since she was directly involving you in wedding events. For whatever reason, she was up to no good. She got called out or caught by her brother. She knows it and you know it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like Reddit looked into that brother's question a lot more deeply than I did, because I just thought it was an honest question when I heard it. Yeah, I guess no matter how I look at it, at the very least, the bride does not sound like a good friend. OP is up in the air. Hey, if you're enjoying these stories so far, hit that subscribe button.
We really appreciate your support, and it lets us know that we should keep making fun content for you guys.
Will I be the asshole if I ask my wife to stop sending food back so often at restaurants?
I would be so annoyed with someone who is constantly sending food back.
The food has to be so bad for me to be willing to send it back.
Yeah, because I feel like that's a huge hassle for everyone, and I don't want to inconvenience the cooks. It's got to be truly awful for me to think it's worth sending it back and inconveniencing the cooks and risking them spitting in my food.
If the food is just like average or a little below average, chances are I'll eat it and just not come back to that restaurant. It seems like 1/3 of the times we go somewhere, she sends something back to be remade.
That is too much.
In her defense, she is never rude about it and always both thankful and grateful to the staff. Now, don't get me wrong, I'll send something back if it's burnt or wrong, but I feel like most of the time she sends it back for things that I personally wouldn't, and I'm forced to either wait for my food to get cold or eat alone than wait for her to eat. Here's a few examples of reasons she's asked for her food to be remade in recent memory. Hamburger wasn't seasoned enough. Fries weren't as crispy as normal.
No, you just eat those. Eat those sad fries and that bland hamburger and shut up.
Just put some more ketchup on the hamburger.
Yeah.
Also, some people like their fries to be a little,
I love the wimpy fries.
yeah. What is the word for the bendy fries?
Wimpy fries. I don't know. I like it when they're wobbly.
Yeah.
You can grab them and flop them around.
Yeah, not like overly crisp. That's just a different type of fry. It seems like personal preference. Less sauce on her pasta than normal.
Just ask them to bring you out a side of sauce that you can add to your liking. Don't ask them to remake the whole dish.
Not enough cheese on her cheesesteak.
Just ask for extra cheese. No, you actually don't ask for extra cheese. Once you get it, it's too late. Just already eat it.
Those last two do seem like personal preference, and they both seem very fixable without sending the whole dish back.
I mean, not enough cheese. You just eat that not very cheesy cheesesteak, and next time you go to that restaurant, you know you need to order it with extra cheese.
Or just ask for a cup of cheese. It's like it comes out of a pump. Like cheesesteak cheese sauce is not an expensive item.
Okay, I've never eaten a cheesesteak, so I didn't know if it was like slices of cheese melted on it or a cheese sauce.
I mean, that is up for debate, and it is a heated debate, but I think, like, the classic cheesesteak is essentially like Cheese Whiz.
Nacho cheese?
Yeah, like nacho cheese, Cheese Whiz, like almost liquidy cheese.
Okay. But all of those things are so minor. I would not want to irritate anybody by sending my food back. I would just shut up and eat it and be like, it's okay. Not the best food, but I'm not worth it to send it back. This lady has very exacting standards for her food.
Those were all really little reasons. Like, I'm trying to think back to times that we have had to send food back, and it was like, hey, there's blood on this hamburger bun.
Oh, yeah, that was gross.
Like, it was not human blood. It was like they put like a raw patty on the bun or something. I don't know how they got hamburger blood on it, but they did.
It was like soggy with meat juices, like raw meat juices.
Yes, we apparently have low standards, because I think the other time we had to send something back, it was because you got like a loose hamburger, which is the weirdest thing. It's just like loose ground meat on a bun, and it tasted kind of like soap.
Yes,
and
that was the other thing. I was like, what is wrong with this meat?
Yeah, we're like, I think this is tainted by something.
Things that I don't feel safe eating,
right,
I will send back. If it's just a matter of taste, I'm eating it.
In my mind, I don't expect food at a restaurant to be perfect every time. I honestly wouldn't care about her doing this if it wasn't happening as frequently as it was. At the same time, I want her to be able to enjoy our nights out. Will I be the asshole if I gently bring it up?
Man, this is tough. You're married to this lady, and I feel like you should have known this is how she is for years. But it would be super annoying. I wouldn't want to go out and eat with her because, yeah, then you're like eating your meals separately because you have your food and she has sent hers back and is waiting for it to come back. And you're like, well, do I eat now without you or wait for it to get cold? And then you're just stuck around sitting even longer. I do not like this scenario. But I feel like mentioning this to her is going to make her mad. She's going to take it as like an attack on her character and be like, but I want to enjoy my food when I go out. What's wrong with that?
I do agree. I foresee that being her reaction as well. But I don't think OP would be the asshole for telling her that she needs to be a little less of a perfectionist. Like, they're ordering hamburgers, pasta, and cheesesteak. These are not 5-star establishments they're frequenting.
No, you gotta expect things not to be perfect everywhere you go.
Right, you can't go into, like, the family restaurant and expect perfect service. The chef is being paid just above minimum wage. They do have a quick edit. I didn't expect my wife's picky eating to blow up this much. Just for clarification, no, I don't think this is some kind of power trip or her being a Karen. It just really bothers her for some reason when her food doesn't come out the way she expected. This, plus a few other things I've noticed in our years together, make me think she is slightly on the spectrum. But I know better than to ever say that to her. I'll try and gently bring it up sometime and maybe offer some alternative solutions. Thank you all. I think you're allowed to tell your partner that they might be on the spectrum. You can't be scared of telling your partner things.
But yeah, he might be right about her being on the spectrum because I am, and I do not like things to change. I want things to be a certain specific way. But when I go to restaurants, I just realize that that's not always going to turn out that way. But like, I am really upset when I go to Baskin Robbins for my cappuccino blast and they make it slightly different than normal. And it tastes weird.
Like when they're out of vanilla and they substitute in chocolate, which, to be fair, you just don't like chocolate ice cream.
Why does chocolate ice cream taste like chemicals to me?
I don't know. I've never heard anyone else with that reasoning.
I love chocolate, but chocolate ice cream, disgusting. Like cleaning chemicals. I don't understand it. But it ruins the cappuccino blast, and then I'm like, I don't want to drink this. But do I complain? No, I just don't drink my cappuccino blast, and that was a waste of $6. Oh well.
To be fair, a lot of the times we're in like a drive-through and don't notice until we're like a mile down the road.
So yeah, you might have a point that she might be on the spectrum, but I don't know why you're scared to bring this up with her.
A top comment. I waited tables in college at a steakhouse. My brother used to come in a couple times a month, and each time he'd send his prime rib back. I finally told him I wouldn't allow him to be seated in my section anymore because of it. It was ridiculous. Another time at the same restaurant, I had a customer send their prime rib back 3 times, and the chef finally cut a new piece of prime rib and placed it in a to-go container with fresh sides, then filled 2 soup cups with au jus and walked it to the table and set it down. I probably butchered that word. When the woman asked what it was, he said, "It's a prime rib for you to cook at home since we clearly can't cook it to your standards."
Wow.
Her husband looked like he wanted to die, and I thought she was going to allow herself to be swallowed by the floor.
Wow, that is a statement.
I like this one because it's just a lot of customer service horror stories in the comments.
Uh-huh.
Many moons ago, when I worked at Starbucks, I had a customer that wanted a cappuccino with a very specific proportion of milk to foam. We'd remake her drink 3 to 4 times every day. She'd stand at the handoff plane and stir in her equal and taste it, and stir it and taste it, stir it and taste it. Then she'd decide she didn't like it, and we'd remake it. Who's ordering a cappuccino and then stirring stuff into it? That just destroys all the foam.
Yeah, I was like, that would destroy the cappuccino, right?
Finally, I saw her coming, and I hopped on the bar. I made her a dry cappuccino, mostly foam, and handed her a cup of steamed milk. I told her that since we always mess up her drink, she could add her own milk to make it the way she liked it. Same ritual. That last round of milk, I could tell that she'd messed it up, but didn't want to say so. We never remade her drink again. She always got a dry cappuccino and a side of steamed milk for the rest of the time I worked there. For all you coffee folks, yes, the stirring does ruin the whole point of the cappuccino.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, I also worked at Starbucks for a little under a year, and you can't just go stirring the cappuccino. I had a similar person at Starbucks who kept handing the cappuccino back at the drive-thru window of all things, so they were slowing down the line.
No, come inside if you weren't going to be this picky.
Because they wanted a dry cappuccino like they make it in Europe. And like, because a Starbucks cappuccino is not just all foam, right? They wanted the cappuccino to be all foam and you know, the espresso. And that's not how Starbucks makes their cappuccinos unless you specifically order it like that. And then it was too much foam, and at a certain point the manager had to walk over and be like, you have to come inside because there's 20 cars behind you.
Yeah, I think if you're at a drive-thru and you are back and forthing with the people inside like this, you just gotta be like, I'm gonna park and come in and talk to you guys, okay? Mother-in-law intentionally tried to make the bride look ugly in a Christmas gift illustration.
Did the mother-in-law do the drawing, or was she just like standing over the artist's shoulder being like, no, make her nose bigger?
Give her a double chin.
Because that is a lot of petty right there. If you hired an artist and then said, hey, could you add a wart?
So this is from Wedding Shaming. I, 29 female, have been making personalized illustrations for the past 5 years in this wedding industry.
Oh no, so it is her critiquing the artist?
It's a commissioned piece of art that she is critiquing. I always get some random requests and commissions, and just when I thought I'd seen it all, I got this peculiar request from a groom's mother who's after an illustration which she'll give to the couple as their first Christmas gift.
It's a gift for the couple too. For some reason, I thought she was having like an illustrated like card that she would then send out to her mailing list. No, this is specifically for the couple.
As their Christmas present. I made a beautiful portrait for you guys of your wedding day.
God, I hope it's something really petty like draw a mustache on her.
So a few weeks ago, I received a message from this woman. She wanted a wedding illustration of 4 people, her and her husband and the groom and bride, and gave me a reference picture. Everything looked normal, just like any other orders. I asked her if she had any special requests or instructions before asking her for the payment. She requested if I could make the bride look natural, not too much makeup like in the photo. I thought, okay, probably the makeup artist did overdo her makeup a bit, and I said, sure, definitely can do, no problem. Later, she proceeded with the full payment and I confirmed the order. So far, so good. Then I began with the illustration, and after a few days, I completed it. I sent her a draft to do a review for any possible changes or adjustments. She almost immediately replied with heaps of changes, and that's all on the bride. She said that the bride's smile looked too big and it needed to be softened. Her blushes from the cheeks needed to be removed, eyeliners needed to be thin, and so on. Her accurate words were, her smile needs to be polite, not so glamorous like the photo. That's not her natural smile. It seemed really weird to me, so I requested some additional photos of the bride.
Okay, so mother-in-law just wants her daughter-in-law to be more demure and less of an outgoing person. It sounds like she does not like her daughter-in-law's personality.
Yeah, less smiley, more demure on the makeup, not so bold and glamorous.
If she could just be a background character to her husband, that would be perfect.
She then sent me a few more pictures of the bride later that night, and I straight away noticed that the bride's smile on the illustration looked very, very similar to all the other pictures as well. So I asked her again if she could clarify what she meant by polite smile. She then said, her own words, bride's smile looks too wide in the pictures, but she's not the most smiling type of person in everyday life. Please make it soft along with the specified changes I mentioned earlier.
It kind of sounds like bride maybe isn't smiley around mother-in-law.
I wonder why. And she also asked me to draw a completely different hairstyle and provided a reference photo. This was a new request which wasn't mentioned previously. She said that the bride complained about her hairstyle on the wedding day and wanted something different. I replied that, okay, I'll do my best and I will send you a revised version tomorrow.
I really hope that OP limited the amount of revisions allowed in her contract.
So after making all the requested adjustments, I sent her the second draft for a review. She still complained about how the bride looked, but at the end, she was okay with it. She then asked me to remove some details from the bride's dress by saying, the details on the dress look too noisy. Please remove the floral patterns from it and make it plain. I was really surprised by that because almost every one of my clients always love the detailings that I do on the dresses. So I replied, are you sure? It took me a lot of time drawing those details on the dress, and usually my clients love it, and I really think your daughter-in-law would love it too. But she insisted on keeping it plain. The next day, I made the changes again, and at this time, I felt bad for the bride because now she just looks like a normal girl with a white gown. None of her bridal features from the wedding pictures remained on my illustration. But this is what the client asked, and I obliged until this point. Anyways, I sent this third draft to her, and this time she said something which completely shocked me. She said, everything looks fine. Can you just make the bride chubbier? She's not that thin in real life.
Wow, okay, now she's just openly being mean. The subtle hints were not working. She wants an ugly drawing of her daughter-in-law.
And this is when I completely lost it. Until that point, I had had some doubts, but that time I was 100% certain that she was trying to make her own daughter-in-law look ugly on purpose. I straight away replied to her, sorry ma'am, I will not be able to make that kind of changes on my illustration. It seems to me that you're trying to make the bride look ugly on purpose, and I cannot do that. Please show the illustration to your daughter-in-law and send her our details. If she wants to make any changes on it, I'll be more than happy to do so. I could sense that my response made her pretty mad. She immediately asked for a full refund and accused me of ruining her Christmas gift. I politely told her that there will be no refund on the illustration since I spent hours on perfecting it according to her instructions. And I stated my previous point again that if her daughter-in-law wants to make any changes, I'll happily do so.
Yeah, you can't really just ask an illustrator for a refund after they've drawn the photo 3 times. Like, they put in a lot of hours. They've given you the amount of time that you've paid for and probably a little more.
Then I emailed her the original illustration, the first draft, where the bride looks like the one from the photo, and closed the order. She later threatened to take me to small claims court for ruining her Christmas surprise. I later showed the illustration to my girlfriends, and they all agreed with me. My husband also said that this woman is evil and I should focus on the other orders that I have pending.
That sounds like a good idea. It also sounds like you need to put in your contract that they are allowed 2 revisions, because at that point you would just be able to say, hey, sorry, you're past the number of revisions.
That's what almost all the comments are, telling her she needs to limit the number of revisions. OP, you need to add an edit clause in your contracts for this exact reason. When I do commissions, clients get 1 round of feedback. That's it. Otherwise, they will go on and on and on and on and on.
Especially when you're selling to people that are not in any way connected to the art industry. Like, random civilians do not have a concept of you are wasting a lot of time on these revisions. Like making her chubbier in the picture, that means you have to redraw her. Like, that's a lot of time. So yeah, I agree with the comment. 1 round of revisions, 2 if you're a generous person.
That poor bride is in for a lifetime of evil. You are a good human being. Yeah, I feel you're right. That daughter-in-law would have been sorely disappointed, but still required to smile and thank mother-in-law for such a thoughtful gift. What a bitch. Too bad you couldn't have reached out to the husband and find out his perspective on it.
Yeah, I think those revisions make it very clear that mother-in-law was not doing this in good faith. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter-in-law that I got the iPads for the kids, but I've locked her out of the settings?
Can you get iPads for kids and then lock their parents out of their settings? Shouldn't, like, the parents be, like, in control of what their kids are looking at on the iPads and stuff?
My son works on cargo ships. He is hard to contact and is gone for weeks to months at a time. He will not be around for the holidays. He is married to Daisy. Life has been rough for the past 2 years. Daisy became unemployed and hasn't found work that is flexible enough with the kids. My son is gone often, so he can't help with the kids. A common issue that has been happening is that Daisy will sell the kids things online for extra cash.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think I like that.
I really don't approve, especially since she is still getting her nails done every 2 weeks.
Okay, I really don't like that.
The kids get into trouble, and so she sells their things. My granddaughter only had her new Switch video game for 2 weeks before it was sold. Daisy claimed she was playing too aggressively with the game, but when I asked, she could not give me examples.
When your child misbehaves, you don't sell their stuff. You just ground them for it for a while. Once their behavior corrects itself, you give it back. This is probably so traumatizing for those kids. To know that none of your things are actually yours and secure. Mom could take them at any moment and just sell them.
Yeah, that's a good point. It does take away a lot of the children's sense of, like, agency. So the $70 Switch game got sold on eBay. This also only happens with expensive gifts. I have talked to her about it, but she denies it. Daisy asked me to buy the 2 kids iPads for Christmas. They are expensive, and I'm worried she is going to sell them.
Oh, she definitely is.
So I've set them up already and made it so she needs a password to get into the settings app. That way she cannot wipe them and sell them. I called her up today and informed her I got the kids' iPads and explained that I put a password on the settings. In short, she was pissed, but I made it clear that this is the only way I am gifting them the iPads.
Yeah, she's mad because her plan was to sell them in 2 months, and now she can't do that.
I think OP is very justified in being mad if the gifts she bought for her grandchildren are being sold. I have been getting constant text messages about me overstepping. Was this a dick move? Should I get rid of the passcode?
This is tough. I do not know if the passcode was the right move to make. I almost feel like you shouldn't have gotten the kids something that she can resell. Maybe, I don't know. This is hard. Because, like, I get that you want the kids to have nice things and be able to have cool things. But if mom is just going to sell them, maybe you just need to save their Christmas presents in, like, a college fund for them.
I mean, I can see that, but depending on the kid's age, like, that could be pretty far down the road.
Yeah, and I get that, like, kids want the instant gratification of getting a present now. I mean, maybe get them some smaller presents that mom can't sell that are still cool and fun, and then then save the bulk of their money for once they turn 18 and mom can't access their money, and then just give them, like, a nice little lump sum when they turn 18. This is for all the Christmases and birthdays. You know, I've been setting a little something aside for you every year.
Yeah, I mean, that works if you're thinking long term, but it is kind of giving them a crappier childhood.
Yes, that's why this is so tough, but I feel like mom is going to raise such a big stink about these iPads and not having access to be able to, like, get into the settings and everything.
I mean, if she wants a setting altered, I guess she can go through grandma. And also, it makes me wonder, what does dad think about her selling these things?
Yeah, what does dad think? But it sounds like he's pretty absent because he's on cargo ships all the time, you know?
In his case, though, absent is not the same thing as not involved. He's just got a job that makes it very difficult for him to be a parent, but he's still probably turning up for like periods of time. So I think his opinion has a lot of weight here.
I just really hate that she is taking luxury items away from the kids so that she can have luxury items like getting her nails done.
Yeah, which makes me think that OP is a lot more justified in doing this.
And I do, there is always the argument that, hey, poor people deserve to have nice things too. And I do think that is a very valid point. But the kids deserve to have nice things. If I was poor, I would make sure my kids had nicer things than I did. And this lady seems like the opposite.
Yeah, I don't think that argument works at all in this instance because she's taking things away from somebody else to get them.
Yeah, she seems like not a good mother. She seems very selfish. I could understand selling my kids Switch to put food on the table, but still going to get my nails done every 2 weeks. I cannot fathom doing that when I'm financially struggling enough that I need to sell things.
Reddit says not the asshole.
Okay.
Pretty firmly.
Yeah, I was pretty sure Reddit was going to go NTA, but I am interested to know if they have any suggestions on how to deal with this or like came up with anything good.
Let's start with the top one. Not the asshole. Make it clear that you are loaning your iPads to your grandchildren and that they remain your property. If anything happens to those iPads, you will be calling the police.
Ooh, that is drastic, but maybe not uncalled for.
I mean, I do like the idea of keeping them as your property because then they're not the kids' property, so their parents don't have authority over it.
Yeah, I do kind of like that. These are my iPads that I'm letting your children use, but I expect them back someday, so do not sell them. But you do also need to be willing to follow through on getting the police involved if she does sell them.
Well, a big part of locking the settings app is that it makes it a lot more difficult to sell them because you have to figure out how to jailbreak them in order to undo all the locks and things.
Yeah, like if it's linked to mother-in-law's account, I think she can see where the iPads are, right?
I would assume, depending on how she set them up, yeah. OP did reply to this one. I'm going to do this. This is the only way I can make it very clear to not sell their stuff anymore. I am also heavily pushing for her to get a job, even part-time. I am done. I don't like the threat of the police, but I know it will scare her and stop her from selling it. To which someone replied, unfortunately, I think this will have to be the protocol for any gifts going forward. Thank you for being there for your grandchildren. It's kind of a crappy position for OP to be forced into.
Yes, but I do think that this suggestion that Reddit came up with is a good workaround to prevent the mother from selling everything.
Somebody else commented, I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. You knew the woman sells expensive things for cash, so why on earth did you think buying iPads would be appropriate? Why did you not go, nope, I'm not gifting them anything expensive anymore? You've set this up for a battle royale between you and her, instead of her and her actions that you don't like. You've just given her ammunition to weaponize against the kids and their father. Stop giving expensive gifts, save them money for their college education, and give them books, clothes, and assorted small trinkets toys until they are of age. Everyone sucks here, you for refusing to disengage from this, but your daughter-in-law is a bigger asshole for stealing from her children and being so incredibly selfish. It would have been not the asshole until you did all this bullshit.
Okay, so that person came up with the same solution I did. But I do also think that you made a point when it said that the kids deserve to have nice things now, and grandma is just trying to make that work.
Yeah, I don't like their closer of you should be trying to disengage from this. Like, there's a few people in life that you should always be willing to fight for, and I think grandkids are on that list.
Yeah, I like that grandma is really trying to look out for them.
OP replied to that one. I don't find it fair that the kids can't have anything nice because of their mother. That's not fair at all to them. Okay, so she did make a quick edit and update. Edit, she is locked out of everything. The cloud is in my name with my own passcode, so that's locked. I had the people help me do this, so no one else can get it. Unless she gets hacking skills to rival Apple engineering, she will not be able to wipe them. Also, I don't find it fair that the kids can't have nice stuff because of her. I only see them usually once every 2 weeks. They should be able to use their nice stuff at home or take it to a friend's house. And the quick update, I am still going to give them the iPads, and for the first few weeks they will stay at my place, and then I will let them take them home, but I will be monitoring them. They deserve to have nice things at home even if mom is a dick. I am also going to inform her in text that this is a loan, and I'm going to make it very clear that if she does sell them, I will file a report with the police and pursue it. I can literally see where the iPads are online. I don't like it, but she needs to stop doing this shit. And if I have to pursue it, then I will.
Am I the asshole for not letting the previous owner of my house come back in to see it again after she had moved out?
I have never understood the type of people that want to go back to their old house and, look around.
None of the furniture's the same. It doesn't look the same inside at all anymore.
Also, it just seems really nosy to me.
Go look on Zillow if you must. But, you can't go look in person.
Also, I wonder how long it's been since she lived there. Has it been, a couple weeks? Or was this, 20 years?
I, 25 female, have been living at this house with my parents since 2020. This house was built and owned by one family before us. The OG owners were a carpenter, his wife, and their daughter. The owner and his friends moved out to the country and built houses all next door to each other in 1976, so them and their families were all super close. The owner's wife passed away in 2014, and the daughter moved out in 2015. The guy kept living here by himself until he passed away in 2020. After his passing, his daughter traveled back to the state and sold the house to us before leaving again. When we moved in, we found a few boxes of old family pictures, expensive carpentry tools, and we found super expensive cooking supplies. We contacted the daughter of the owner so that we could return the items to her, but she didn't answer. Over the years, we continued to try and contact her through text messages, phone calls, emails, and we even tried to have the neighbor contact her. In 2020, she finally answered and screamed at my mom for continuously trying to talk to her. My mom explained everything to her, but the girl said that she didn't want any of her parents' things. Then she called my mom a few explicit words and hung up.
Okay, I feel like you guys are nice to an annoying level.
They were trying way too hard to get this stuff back to the daughter.
If you buy a house and there's crap in the house, it's your crap now. She came back into state to sell the house to you. She went through the stuff. The idea that you think that she would want it back is crazy to me. I would just assume this stuff is abandoned. It's mine. It's either going on the curb or it's mine. There's no point where I would be like, hey, do you want back these carpentry tools and cooking supplies?
The only thing I might try to return to someone was something nostalgic like family photos.
Yes. If there's a photo album, I might try to reach out a couple times. But did OP say that they tried to contact her over the years?
Yes, I think it's for 2 years, because in 2022, this girl had finally had enough of this weird family trying to contact her and give her stuff. And she's like, leave me alone.
That's my reaction
That's
too.
2 years of that.
I can't imagine somebody hounding me for 2 years to try and give back stuff that I left in a house that I sold.
But at the same time, just answer the phone and say, I do not want it, but thank you.
Right? That is also the polite response, not just ghosting somebody who's trying to be nice to you.
And then exploding at them when they keep trying to be nice. However, last week I was in the backyard and my neighbor called me over to his fence. He had a younger woman with him who introduced herself as the girl who used to live in the house that I live in now. She thanked me for giving the family pictures to the neighbor, and then she asked me about the carpentry and cooking supplies. When I told her that we sold them, she lost her mind.
Is this the same woman?
Yes.
Okay. Sure, why not? That's a crazy take that she flipped like that. Maybe she found out how much they're worth.
She was angry that we would get rid of something that was so meaningful to her parents. When I explained that we had tried to give them back to her, she called me a liar and a bitch. Then she asked to see the inside of the house for old time's sake, but I didn't like how she treated me, and I didn't like what she said to my mom in 2022, so I told her no.
You lying bitch. Can I come in for nostalgic reasons?
No, I do not trust you in my house. You seem unhinged.
That's not somebody that you let into the house. She's going to poke around and see if there's any stuff that she can take.
I told her no. This made her get even angrier, and it made the neighbor angry as well. They both yelled at me while I hurried inside and locked the doors. About 10 minutes later, the girl was banging on the door saying that she wanted to come inside. My parents told her through the door that she couldn't come in. This made the neighbor pissed, so he joined her and nearly left a dent in the door. We asked them to leave for over an hour before they finally left.
Over an hour and you never called the police on them?
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But now it's been a week and all of the neighbors know about what happened. They keep giving us dirty looks and doing that classic old person thing of grunting whenever we try to talk to them. They all adore that girl because she grew up hanging out with them and their kids. So now we are the most hated people in our neighborhood. Am I the asshole?
No, you're not the asshole. It's really unhinged that she would come back after 5 years and just expect all this stuff to be sitting around.
You're not a storage unit. You're not keeping all that stuff for someone who says they didn't want it.
Carpentry tools take up so much space. Like, I'm not gonna store a table saw if I don't want a table saw. Obviously, you're gonna have a garage sale and clear out that extra stuff. Like, it's neighbor's fault for not buying it, honestly. Also, didn't you give family photos to the neighbor at some point? Why didn't neighbor say, hey, I can hold on to all that crap?
Neighbor doesn't want to store it either, but now that girl is mad, they're like, yeah, I'm mad too. Reddit is pretty firmly NTA. NTA, but info. Why didn't y'all call the cops? And OP replies, we didn't call the cops because the neighbor's son is the chief of police. We live in a super small rural country town with like 5 officers, including him. So we just let them knock until they got tired.
Okay, that's not a good reason. You call the cops out anyways, just so that he can calm his parents down or something.
Someone replies to her, you should always call the cops in these situations. It starts a paper trail in case of future harassment.
Yeah, and if his son is going to, like, brush this under the rug, then you have a paper trail to maybe go after the son as a corrupt police chief. But if you don't even give him the chance to do the right thing and calm the situation down, you're the asshole in that small instance. But overall, not the asshole.
Top comment, gather up those texts and emails, and if you care what the neighbors think, show them. It's been years and you're not running a storage company. So infinitely unreasonable. Also good move on not letting her in. You would have ended with fighting and damage to your property.
Yeah, she absolutely wanted to come in so that she could see if any of her parents' stuff was still around that she could sell. She very clearly stated, I don't want any of my parents' crap. And then 5 years later, she came back and wants her parents' crap. Sounds like she found out how much that crap was worth and it needs some money.
But even then, there is no legal obligation to give her that crap. It was in the house when she sold the house to you. It's yours now.
Yes, when you buy a house, I don't know if this is the same for every state, but in Michigan, when you buy a house and there's stuff in there, that is now your stuff.
We got lots of cool stuff with our house. We got fishing rods and crutches and a big industrial fan.
We threw most of it away, but we still have the crutches, the fan, and one of the fishing rods.
Yeah, I was only listing the good things. There was a lot of trash in here. We threw away couches and shelving units and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a rental before we bought it. So I think the renters just ditched a bunch of stuff in the basement. It does make me wonder if her parents hid treasure somewhere in the house.
Better start ripping out the drywall and looking for hidden cubbies.
Yeah, like pull out some of the drawers that are permanent fixtures. There's always that little bit of empty space underneath the bottom drawer. Old people love to hide their money under there. I am speaking from experience.
Where did you find money?
So do you remember that house that my parents and I were fixing up when we started dating?
Uh-huh.
The older gentleman that used to own it did not trust banks, and he hid a lot of money under that bottom drawer.
Really?
Yeah, and a little after they bought the house, there was some, like, incident where somebody opened the door, went in, and went out, and it didn't look like they did any damage, but that drawer was disturbed.
Oh.
So somebody that he knew went, retrieved the cash that he was hiding in there, and left.
Interesting.
So there's always a chance of treasure, is the moral. So whether or not you decide to take a sledgehammer to your drywall is up to you, but maybe check under the drawers. Don't take a sledgehammer to your drywall. I'm not liable for that. Am I the asshole for being furious that my husband gave away my sake and wine after I told him repeatedly not to?
Not the asshole. It was yours, and you have repeatedly stated that you want to keep it. Why is he giving it away?
I, 30 female, came back from Japan about 2 months ago and brought home an expensive bottle of sake I specifically picked up after doing a sake tasting class. I'm not a big drinker, so I chose something I genuinely liked and that my husband would enjoy. It was meant as a for us thing. I also had an unopened bottle of German wine that a friend gifted me 3 months ago. My husband and I had multiple conversations where he asked if I could give the sake to his father, his cousin, or his friends, and I said a strict no every single time.
Why does your husband want to give this away so badly? Are you an alcoholic? That's the only thing I can think of. But she says she doesn't drink very often.
I didn't say it vaguely, not jokingly. I said it very clearly. He knew it was sentimental and partially a souvenir. He also refused to drink it the one time I opened it because he had a headache. So I had about 20 milliliters and left the rest untouched. Fast forward to 3 days ago, I'm away from home, and he has friends over after a pub night. I didn't even consider that he would touch the sake or the wine because we've had the don't share this conversation a million times.
I feel like the fact that you needed to have it a million times because he keeps bringing it up should have made you a little more wary.
I feel like OP needs to get like a locked display case.
Yeah.
The next day I ask him where the sake is. He casually tells me he shared the sake and the unopened wine with his friends, and they finished everything.
Everything? So she didn't even get to try the wine, and she only got like one shot of the sake?
Yeah, essentially.
I would be livid.
I was stunned, angry, disappointed, all of it. He then says he forgot that I told him not to give it to anyone.
Bullshit.
Then adds that he doesn't remember unimportant stuff.
What? This was obviously important. You've had many conversations about it. It just wasn't important to him because he doesn't care about your feelings.
It does seem like something that you should try to remember if you've had multiple conversations about it.
But he can't remember that they've had multiple conversations. Each conversation is a new conversation to him because he doesn't remember it.
Bear in mind, I had even given him a bottle of whiskey specifically meant for his friends after I returned from my travel. When I confronted him about the sake and wine, he flipped it and said, "Don't let it spoil our relationship," and then suggested I see a counselor.
Okay, it is not the sake and wine ruining your relationship. It is your husband's lack of caring for your feelings and clearly stated boundaries.
Am I the asshole for being this upset over something he claims is not a big deal, even though I told him explicitly and repeatedly not to touch it? I'm unable to process the fact that my husband casually crossed a major boundary and is nonchalant about it.
Yeah, this is definitely a huge red flag because you have made it very clear that this is something important to you, and he keeps saying it's not important, even though you've had so many conversations about how important it is to you. Even if there's something I don't care about, but I know that you really care about it, I suddenly care about that thing because I love you and I care what you care about.
Like you should with a spouse.
Right? Her husband is genuinely terrible.
Yeah, like even if it's a little thing, you should remember that little thing. Like, I feel like it does not take many conversations. It probably takes one conversation for me to know that you're saving a bottle of something for later. If you had never talked about the wine or sake and he had friends over and they drank it, I might consider it just like an honest mistake. But multiple conversations about how you're saving it?
And this is like special stuff. It's from Germany and Japan. She can't get this stuff again easily to replace it.
No, like importing wine and alcohol is a pain in the butt. A quick edit. Husband and his friends are not alcoholics. He rarely indulges.
But he just had to drink your alcohol that you were saving for a special occasion.
Does he just like not like drinking with OP? Because he keeps wanting to share it with his dad and his friends and not with her.
It's weird.
Yeah, it seems weird. That's the only description I can think of too, is like, why doesn't he want to enjoy it with his wife?
Because he doesn't like her. I think that's become very clear. He does not like her or value her opinions or feelings.
Reddit is pretty unified in their not the asshole verdict.
Okay.
Top comment, are you kidding me? Not a big deal. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he did it anyway because he doesn't give a crap about anyone but himself. What an asshole. Then adds, he doesn't remember unimportant stuff. Oh, so your expressly stated desires are unimportant? Cool.
Yeah, he's terrible. I do feel, they said OP only cares about himself, and I feel like he really cares about what his friends think of him, which is why he wanted to share this rare and special drink with them to, like, impress them.
Husband, not OP, but I fully agree with your statement.
Oh, I misspoke.
It seems like he wanted to give it away to hurt her. Was he jealous about your trip or something? He knew what he was doing after asking multiple times. From the post, it does kind of sound like maybe OP went on the trip without him.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Which is fine. I mean, there's lots of reasons why she would go on a trip without her husband. That doesn't make it okay to want to destroy the souvenir.
I just really want to know his reasoning for so very, very badly wanting to give this alcohol away. and not let OP enjoy it when she has expressly stated she wants to enjoy it.
Yeah, right? I feel like just dismissing it as he doesn't care isn't looking deep enough in almost. Like, he must have a better reason than that, right?
It's because he does care. He desperately wants to get this alcohol out of his house and give it away to other people. Why?
Yeah, it feels like there's something there, and he needs to work through that. Not the asshole, and this isn't even in the mild sense. This isn't about alcohol. This is about your husband deciding that anything you care about automatically drops to the bottom of the priority list if it inconveniences his vibe for 5 seconds. You didn't say, hey, please don't touch that one time in passing. You told him repeatedly, I don't remember unimportant stuff. That's the kind of thing people say when they absolutely do remember, they just don't care. Not that they don't care, it's that they care a lot about the fact that they aren't allowed to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just have to say, without more information, this feels like a petty kind of attack on OP. I can't see a scenario where a husband is innocent in this.
Yeah, it just seems like a really big red flag, and I think OP needs to figure out what is going on with her husband.
Yeah, because as things stand, it sounds like he's saying, if I can't share it with my friends, then you can't have it at all.
Am I overreacting for letting my daughter skip a wedding because she wasn't included?
I mean, your daughter doesn't have to attend a wedding if she doesn't want to. I don't know why you would be the asshole for letting her skip it.
I, 42 female, have 2 kids, Lainey, 12 female, and Matt, 9 male. My brother, 37 male, is getting married next month. He asked my 9-year-old son to be a ring bearer and included my 3 nephews as ushers, 12 male, 15 male, and 16 male. My 12-year-old Lainey wasn't asked to be anything. For context, she's the only girl cousin in the family and already struggles with feeling left out. She also hit a growth spurt and is already feeling awkward about her height and being a tween. When she realized she was the only cousin without a role, she took it really hard. She cried multiple times and told me she was sick of being the only girl and always being left out.
Okay, your brother's a complete asshole. As an uncle, and you're an aunt, we made sure every single one of the kids had a role in our wedding.
Yeah, all of our nieces and nephews were in the weddings, and there's 4 of them, but they all had a role. 2 of them were ring bearers, and then the youngest one was the flower girl, and then she had an escort to help her down the aisle because she was very small, only less than 2 years old, I think. So all our nieces and nephews had a big role in our wedding and walked down the aisle in front of me.
I can't imagine being in a family where they think it's okay to exclude just one kid.
Yes, purposefully excluding just one single person.
And we haven't heard the full story yet, but this seems like a scenario that OP needs to be screaming at her brother over. If he's going to exclude one of your kids, then the other kid's not coming to the wedding. I'm not coming to the wedding. This is a scenario where it's okay to overreact.
I talked to my brother and gently asked if there was any small role she could do, even handing out programs or helping seat people. Just something so she didn't feel singled out. He said no, that they didn't want to add anything last minute and the wedding party was already set.
I feel like OP maybe didn't ask firmly enough, or tell him, hey, you need to do this for the sake of your niece.
She's crying. You've made her cry. If I found out that any of my nieces or nephews were crying because of something I did, I would do everything in my power to rectify that, right?
Right.
Unless it's something super unreasonable and they're just being a spoiled brat. But I feel like this isn't that. I mean, is anyone entitled to a place in a wedding? No, but when she is the only one excluded, that seems like a really big statement, and that's very big asshole behavior on the brother's part.
Yes, I think that's a clear statement, and as her parent and the groom's brother, you have a lot of authority and obligation to yell at him.
After that conversation, my daughter told me she didn't want to go. She said watching all the cousins walk down the aisle while she sat there like nothing would make her feel even worse. She was crying and clearly overwhelmed, especially when we were trying to find an outfit for her to wear. I'm thinking about letting her skip the wedding and let her spend the weekend at a friend's house. My husband agrees with me because the other option is having a teen who is glaring death daggers at the photographer during the ceremony or playing on her Switch during the reception and looks like she clearly doesn't want to be there.
Well, that is just a lot of teens at weddings, but in this case, it's justified.
Unfortunately, now some family members are mad. My mom, brother, and other relatives think I Let her throw a tantrum to get out of something and say I should tell her to suck it up because kids don't get to skip weddings just because they didn't get attention. My mom said I'm going to embarrass my brother by having one of my kids missing in family photos.
You know, it's going to embarrass your brother even more when you do the right thing and have none of your kids or you or your husband there. This is not a scenario where the other three of you go.
I personally feel like forcing her to go when she is heartbroken would have made things worse, and I didn't want her sitting there crying through the ceremony. But now I'm second guessing my choice, so here I am. Would I be overreacting for letting my daughter skip the wedding after she was left out of any role and was really hurt by it?
I would say the opposite and that you're underreacting. I would be so mad if one of our nieces or nephews was left out of a family wedding this purposefully. Like, if they had maybe one or two of the nieces and nephews doing, like, the ring bearer and the flower girl thing, but there's several that aren't involved, then yeah, she's got to suck it up. If there's one, just one, and it's the only girl that he's leaving out, no, your brother's a bad person and you should not attend his wedding.
God forbid the preteen daughter of all people be pissed off about a legitimate snub. OP's brother can go to hell. That is also like a really sensitive age.
Yeah.
12? Oh my goodness. And like hormones are kicking in. Everything is the end of the world. This is not a good time to upset them.
No, that's a time to make sure that they know that they're accepted and that their family is always on their side.
Boost their self-esteem a little, right?
Yeah, you're adults. You've all been through it. You can be subtle about it, but you really got to support the kids and make sure they have a healthy mental attitude as they grow up.
Not overreacting wouldn't really be complicated for them to include her. They chose not to.
They absolutely chose not to. I don't know how many of the brides, like nieces and nephews, are involved in this, but it sounds like there's no flower girl. Like 12 is still a good age to be a flower girl.
I feel like at a lot of weddings I've been to, once they hit like that preteen stage, they make them junior bridesmaids.
Do they? I've never heard of junior bridesmaid. Is that just like a title you give them because they're too cool to be a flower girl?
It's usually like they're too young to like actually participate and be a bridesmaid and like fulfill the bridesmaid duties, but they're family and you want them standing up there with you. So they're like a bridesmaid with no duties really except to just stand there.
But at those weddings, is there like a younger cousin who is the flower girl?
Yeah, usually.
So if the role is open, she seems like a shoo-in for it.
Mm-hmm. Not overreacting, but really if my child was singled out, I don't know if I'd be so happy to attend myself. Your family only cares about appearances, so make the photos more uncomfortable for them by not being in them either. That person agrees with you.
I know all of our siblings are already married off and older than us, so they were married off before our wedding anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But if any of them was snubbing one of the kids to this extent, I feel like we would be very justified to go beat them up. There's a point in every family where you're allowed to go and beat up your siblings. Sometimes siblings just need to knock sense into each other. You're like one of the very few selection of people who has the ability to do that.
Not overreacting, she's old enough to decide if she wants to attend an event. She's been snubbed and she's valid in her feelings. If she doesn't want to go, you should not force her to go. If her attendance was important, they would have ensured that she felt included and wanted. Personally, I probably wouldn't allow my son to be in the wedding and would just skip it. Not because they didn't include her, but because they are making an issue that she doesn't want to attend.
It seems to me like even if you think it's okay for her to be left out of that one role, the fact that the whole family is then trying to disregard her feelings and force her to attend the wedding is just a good reason to just snub this wedding as a family. I think no matter what you decide, you have to do it as a family. Like, you have to show your daughter support because your extended family is not. And you should really be prioritizing your daughter over your brother.
That's our last story for today. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet.
Hit that subscribe button and we'll see you next time.